you believe in Allah, whereas I don't see the point in questioning whether Allah exists or not. As long as I lead a good life, what's the point?
No, I think that the reason why we do that is multiple reasons. One of the reason is we don't believe that death is the end of all life. No.
Now the Buddhists.
So what do you believe? Do you
They
believe
believe in reincarnation.
reincarnation? But what we say, okay, if we have a model with us, let's say a model presented to you and me, as a human mind, as someone who's reasonable, I would ask the validity of this model, and I would see the one who brings this model. I wanted to check the credibility of this person. So as a Gautam Buddha or whoever, he laid out a philosophy. In order to believe his message, there are many others also claiming to know the existential question and answer. On what point I am accepting him and what point I am rejecting the others, that need to be on a question, right? Like for example, I would say, if you put Prophet Muhammad this one side and investigate his message, you will totally agree with his message. In that case, are you saying, okay, this message makes sense, I'm going to follow it? As a Muslim, we would say no. The criteria should be there, but there should be another layer of criteria where, how do I know that he's speaking the truth? Because someone could say, this is what I feel. I feel and my desire and I think that cannot be a parameter of truth. Rather, the objective source of how do I know? Like, do you have miracle? Like, can you perform something supernatural?
Yes.
And this is something, one of the evidence that shows that they are from God or they're claiming to be God. Like, for example, when Moses split the sea, this is a known fact in the history. This indeed happened. And many testimonies recorded that this incident did happen. Why did he do that? First of all, he didn't do that through his own accord. Rather, God allowed him to let this happen. Meaning, it is from God, and God is using him as a mediator. Meaning, people seeing that he's a man of God, right?
Yeah,
now, whatever he will have to say afterwards, the people should accept him. So that should be the criteria. Now,
yes, but that's a historical. Whereas, if you deal with something like that, which is there is no evidence that happened because there's no empirical evidence, we only have what's come down to us through stories. But Buddhism isn't really interested in what you might call stories of miracles or anything like that. It's interested concerning the human condition.
Yeah.
And the human condition is suffering. And Buddhism seeks to find out what the nature of suffering is and how to alleviate that suffering. So that's the fundamental question of Buddhism.
Absolutely, I
They both believe in peace. And when Buddha was asked whether or not he believed in God, he maintained a noble silence, which is what I was doing. I thank you very much.
I was going to say one thing. Nobody knows actually what Buddha actually did. There are many historians actually. Many historians have a different view on Buddha, right?
But we know that he must have been speaking some sort of truth, because what he taught has come down to is that it still works.
No, I wouldn't completely deny him what he has taught, because many of his teaching actually align with Islam. But nevertheless, I'm going to say something. He didn't cover the existential question. And as a matter of the fact, I'm saying, if I accept Buddha, or if you accept Buddha, based on his teaching, I'm asking that if you look at Prophet Muhammad, you will find the area Buddha didn't cover. You will find more comprehensive teaching in Prophet Muhammad.
Perhaps.
Now, if we apply the same methodology, then you'll have to also look into Prophet Muhammad in an objective lens, whether indeed is he from that source. Now, collectively, if you don't believe in miracle, there are some miracles that you can test by yourself. Okay, if you say, I don't want to believe what Moses and Jesus and Muhammad did. Now, is there any objective challenge for me nowadays, in my current time, to look into whether they are indeed from God? Because there are 124,000 prophets came and they claim that there is only one God and worship the same God. So either the 124,000 people lied or they speak the truth. It cannot be both. And now you sided with one person's methodology
No, it's not the person's methodology, it's what he taught. It's what he taught. He was just someone who was a teacher, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm not worshipping Buddha, I'm not taking any of his
Yeah, no,
whether or not he's
I see your point.
creative.
Yeah,
I'm just actually, what I do is I follow his teachings. And for me, those teachings, they work. So if they work, that's by experience, which means that he must have existed because those teachings have come down to us and they worked then because he found out that those things work. The Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And if you followed them, he didn't say you would be, but he said you might have the
so
possibility.
it shows the message incompleteness within the message itself. That itself is a weakness and shows that that's not from the higher authority. So it's a good way of life, but it doesn't. Now, having said that, it doesn't cater the answer of our human minds.
I must go.
But would you like to take a copy of the Quran?
No, I wouldn't. But I'm very, very happy to.
Are you sure?
Yes,
But look,
it's been nice talking to you.
it was nice talking to you, but I asked God to guide you. Look, because you applied a test that, okay, you're going to follow some of the good teaching of the Buddha, I'm asking you to become an open-minded.
I am
Looking into, no, that's why I said, now if you're open-minded, then you have to look into the objective challenge of the Quran. Quran said, this is a word of God, and there are challenges in it for human being to find out whether it is from God or not. Now, the challenges has been done. Challenges has been made by Allah, and the humanity have been facing this challenge of the Quran. No one be able to imitate the challenge of the Quran, meaning Allah said, produce a chapter like it, find contradiction in the book, and there is no contradiction in the book, no error in the book. The book has been preserved.
Yes,
so there are many meticulous evidences suggest that it is indeed from a higher source, which is existential, which if you go through the books, it actually gives you evidence that why should you believe in God in the first place. So it answers all the questions. That's why I'm saying, why don't you go for a comprehensive source, or why don't you go for a comprehensive source rather than a very shallow or narrow source,
Well, you're happy with your...
Why ask God
your-
that,
Well,
you see the truth as well.
Perhaps.
Look
But
after yourself.
I'm happy with where I am.
I'm shaking hand again. Look after yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. So the Buddhist man, he is quite content with what he's after. My challenge was to, you follow a model, you follow Buddha as a role model. What level of checks and credibility checks you perform to believe in his testimony? Because it's a testimonial belief, so he believed the Buddha's testimony. So how are you sure that this is from God? Or because of course he doesn't have true understanding of God as well, so it's many layers of issue here. So, and I asked him, the existential question is not covered through his methodology from the Buddhism, the 8th way, totally. So I say that it does not necessarily mean that you don't have to follow a religion, because Allah is answering all this question in the Quran for everyone to contemplate and reflect upon the message. So I hope, inshallah, in some time of his life, he'll think about it and make dua. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Few things I had to clear because the